Hi, everyone. My name is Sridhar Pai, and the reason I started to do this specific little module on product management is because last week we had a product management webinar, which was, I believe, organized by Kat King and part of the curriculum that I'm also covering in TAPME. And that was actually some sort of a sellout because we had over 200 odd people for the length of the program. And it was quite impressive how excited the audience was. A lot of people were young entrepreneurs, early stage careers, already MBA or working on their MBA program, getting to wanting to know more about product management, product marketing, stuff like that. Mostly IT, tech, and non-tech industries, pharmacists, all kinds of folks. And it was unbelievable, the energy and the number of questions. I have to tell you, I never thought it would be such an engaging program. It went for over an hour, and I think we had a lot of questions that remain unanswered. And then I thought, we should at least catch up and share some of my thoughts and learnings on this. And so I'm going to try and cover some of those same slides now, but in a much more compressed time frame because this is a YouTube video. I hope you enjoyed. And if you have questions, please do put them on the comment box or write to me separately, follow me. And I'll be covering several modules of product management and product marketing, having done this for many years and having done this and advised my clients on how this is done, especially in the tech sector and also non-tech. I've done this in multiple markets. I've used many of the techniques and that are now beginning to become popular. Also, many of the softwares and the packages that we'll talk about. So let me try and get as much covered as possible. So let's move on. I hope you can see this. This is a specific slide I showed actually last time also, and this is still available. This is actually just an indication to show what kind of salaries are being paid for product management positions. This specific one is actually, if you look down there, I think the company name is Trilogy, and this is public domain information, so I don't need to hide anything. And they're actually offering 400K USD, which is about 36 lakh rupees a year for someone with the right qualifications and experience of about 7 years. Just to give you an indication of how popular these roles have become and how precious these roles are, because there's not enough people with that kind of experience. So if you're in that space, it's a good time now to pick up your skills and target this kind of a position very soon. And more on that. Here is the traditional definition of product management, but I will not go into it. I will actually describe that through a picture, and that picture might actually say 1,000 words. So let's go into that. Okay, let's hope you can see this one. I'm just going to move this myself. So, this is actually something you may have seen in the past. This is actually a picture of sales versus timeline, which is very traditional, very normal product lifecycle type chart, which you've seen in industry, sector, health, and so on. But what's important here is this is probably the best way to show what is the role and scope of a product management function. So no matter what the product is, that will apply on this particular chart. So whether it's an iPhone 15 or a Mahindra XUV 700 or even a Boeing, it will comply to this particular chart at some point, because there is an incubation, there's a pre-introduction phase where the product ideation and stuff would have happened. And then there's a growth phase, there's a maturity phase, and there's a death phase. This is typically exactly how it goes. And no matter what product line it is, the timeline will change. For example, for a Boeing, this timeline may be 25 years. For an iPhone 15, it may be 25 months. For an XUV, it may be 3 years. For a chipset that goes into a mobile phone, it may be 18 months, and so on. So it varies depending on what that time frame is. But however, the product itself has to go through this phase. And as a product manager, your responsibility it is to manage all these functions, pre-ideation, from pre-introduction or ideation to all the necessary research, the validation, the prototyping that goes into it, and then gets into introduction phase. And after introduction, what kind of stuff you need to do to make sure it passes the valley of death, which is a high risk phase where 9 out of 10 products fail. Then how do you create the budgets and the proposition to sell to your management that this is indeed worth backing? We need to get into the growth phase. These are the additional budgets I need. These are the kind of stuff I need to do. These are the kind of markets we need to enter now. This is the kind of sales support, marketing support I need for this product to make it to the top line. And then it goes into a maturity phase. Typically, maturity phase has very different set of activities compared to the growth phase. But you can't sit down and sip a beer on the beach, because a whole lot of activities have to be done now at maturity phase. Typically, at a maturity phase, the product has already hit all the key milestones, but then now it's kicking off an additional stream of income and revenues without you actually having to put in new dollars. So that's the kind of stuff that happens there. Then, if you do nothing, it'll hit a death phase. It's the end of life. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you're a smart product manager, there are ways for you to extend that or delay delay the death phase. Or if you are having a follow-up set of products, then you can bring it in and cannibalize this product and extend the life through a new product version. So those are the various phases. Just wanted to share. If this picture is in your mind, then you understand what is the scope of a product management function at a high level. So, if you remove all the jargon and all the high-tech words, this is all it is. This is really what it is. And this is a lifeline for company. If you have one product that's very well managed, it could become the cash cow and keep the company alive. Keep that in mind. Moving on to the next few slides here. We'll just skip some of these animations because it's talking about how to cross these different barriers and what kind of challenges you will have in a typical scenario. So, excuse me. So that said, the product management function also needs to make sure that it's aligning with the overall business strategy of the company, because the company's business strategy is very, very well defined for a specific market. Then you cannot have a product management for a product strategy that is very different. It has to align, and then you have to move forward and make it consistent. Otherwise, your buyers will get conflicting signals. That needs to be avoided. Now, in terms of market research, right? So what are the kinds of market research to be done? And then this is, you can spend a 2-hour webinar just talking about market research. I've done a lot of market research for particularly wireless companies for multiple years. Market research has a complete set of inputs that you need. Again, broadly, it depends on whether it's a B2B market or a B2C market. B2B market means very different set of things, and the number of players may be high or low depending on the stage and the maturity of the market. B2C is very different, again, depending on the demographics and the population, the taste and the language and the UI, UX. There's a whole lot of things that happens for the B2C. So as a product manager, you should first of all know whether you're targeting B2B or B2C. And if you're doing both, then you have to create maybe a different set of branding, different set of positioning, different price points, different look and feel for the product, and so on. Now, how exactly will you do B2B product research, market research, and how exactly will you do B2C? It will vary depending on the opportunity, on how new it is. If you look at a brand new product, especially if it's a category creator, like let's say an iPhone was in, I believe, 2007 or 2008 when Steve Jobs first launched it, you couldn't have gone to a customer or a B2C customer, even in the US, and asked them, hey, you know what do you think about a smartphone that does not have a keypad? It wouldn't have made sense because they wouldn't know what you're talking about. So, there are product category creators, which is happening for the first time, where you cannot go and research the market because you'll not get any inputs from them. And the famous joke goes that, I believe it was Henry Ford who said, look, if I had gone to my customers and asked them, what kind of a car do you need? They probably would have said, we need faster horses. Because for someone who's been a generation of horse riders, they couldn't have imagined a machine that's going to drive by itself. So, you are sometimes having the opportunity of creating a product offering in the market, which is far and above what the market is already used to. In that case, there is no point doing market research. You can still find out what they need, but you'll never be able to actually meet that. You'll probably exceed that in any case. So that's something you need to keep in mind. And in today's day and age with AI and a lot of things are happening that are beyond what you may have already thought of, or you may have never thought of. For example, Sora AI, right? You never thought that it would be a Hollywood quality video that would come just by typing text. So these are the kind of things that are happening today, which is somewhat equivalent to the delta, the disruptive stuff that was happening many years ago. So in terms of product design, we have a lot of packages, a lot of different softwares that are assistants to you today. In terms, you have typically a UI UX team, and again, depending on the company, because this function is so critical. Product management is such a deep as well as a horizontal function spanning multiple sub-functions. It depends on how the company is actually structured to do this. In some companies, in some corporations, the company has a UI UX team, which is a corporate horizontal layer. And then the product manager has to work with them to define his requirement based on the inputs he's gotten from the market research team, and then develop that particular UI UX for the product flow. And so this requires different types of packages. It could be a balsamic, or it could be whatever. But the packages and tools are a different story. You still need to understand functionally how you will communicate whatever you interpreted from the market back into your UI UX team. How do you find the, let's say you talk about, let's say, content creation packages, right? For example, softwares like, let's say, smart note takers. I don't know how familiar you are. I'm going to create a separate module, a separate video on smart note making, because it's a very, very key element for both product managers and product marketing guys. That's highly ignored, and people are just, I see even now people sitting in, making digital notes by typing in long, lengthy stuff. You don't need to do that. If you should know what kind of content packages to use. One is Notion.io, another is Mem.ai. There are very many smart AI note takers today. If you know how to use them, you'll be able to save time. But not getting into that here, all I'm saying is, for example, if the flow of your UI UX experience, let's say in an Amazon.in versus a Myntra, for example, is very different. Some people may like this and some people may like that, but the fact that you're hiding some screens, projecting some screens, bringing context specific help menus, buttons, all of that is critical. And how much of that help is intrusive, how much is assistive, these need to be understood. So it's a very interesting area, and I'm finding a lot of smart folks, even from design schools, coming in and putting their efforts. So make sure that you have a very good UI UX team. Otherwise, no matter how great functionally the product is, its UX experience is not good enough, you will leave a lot of money on the table for competition. Okay, so let's move on. Agile, right? Now, today's day and age, the product development cycles are very different from what it used to be in the past. Even in the last 4 or 5 years, I can tell you that many product designs die in hours, in days. So the feedback mechanism with the market, the test market, the internal testing and so on can be so rapid and so overwhelming that if you do not have a good agile system to take care of fast turnarounds and fast cycles, you will lose. And so this entire methodology of Agile and Scrum has been evolved to take care of these kinds of rapid changes, because you don't really have to go all the way into the market and then figure it out. You can actually do quick changes. Also, in terms of productivity boosts, right? Because the Scrum roles and the ceremonies and the Agile Manifesto is intended to quickly take those inputs and turn it around so that your cycle time is reduced and the best output goes to market at the earliest. So, and then here's another very major thing. If you're building a product for a company and the product company has probably not already done this kind of a product before, there may be a certain amount of gap between what your estimated MVP or your overall program is. It's a good idea to not necessarily bet the entire barn to the market, because you have not tested it yet. So I'm not even talking about an A to B testing. I'm talking about an actual market MVP, where instead of building a full function, full blown, full capabilities, and fully loaded product and take it to market after 24 months and burning $2 million, it's much better to actually go with a much shorter version. Key functions only with very, very minimal, but the key functions that are actually embedded into the product, and take it to market within 6 months and work with a representative set of possible target market avatars, which could also be B2B guys. But you need to take it to market and create that repetitive pilot POC type cycle. If you do that cycle, you could probably get 80% fit of the market within 6 to 8 months and spending only 10-20% of the money. The rest of it can be images, 3D printing, components, maybe some level of 3D presentations to show what else the product can do and so on. This is really how it should be done, because there's no need to create a whole product and then go to market. And then if it fails, the company may go down with it. So it's a product manager's job to define that MVP. Sometimes if your MVP functionality is defined poorly, and what you think is not an important feature actually becomes an important feature later, you should have at least programmed enough open questions in the conversations so that you know what those features are that you may have missed in the MVP. So these are all very critical decisions that need to be made. And there's a scientific way to understand this and how it's to be done. And I can talk to you about it, in my future courses. And let me move this around a little bit. So product growth strategy. So if you go back to that picture I showed you, even if you do well and the product takes off into the market, creates a brand, starts getting demand starts peaking, all of that is good. But when it hits growth phase, very, very important to understand what are the things that you need to do at this phase. Because what got you here will not get you to the next level. This is a very important thing. This happens everywhere in careers, in product life cycles, and in growth phases. So many times the growth phase requires, maybe a social media presence, which is very different. Maybe you're uncovering new layers of demand which have not been understood before, or which are uncovering just now. Maybe new set of customers are willing to pay more for a specific set of features, which becomes premium. So you need to branch off a specific variant of this product, call it a premium product, and price it differently. Maybe you need demographic support. Maybe you need language support. Maybe you need to position in a different market and differently. Sometimes, believe it or not, you will even get hit by regulation, especially in markets like wireless and telecom and so on. You may have regulatory inputs which will start impacting you, in which case you may need to go back and get either approvals, or you need to, you need to move around, find a workaround to do this, still be legal, ethical, and so on. So very interesting stuff happening in the growth phase, that we can talk about. It could be new markets, it could be new variants, it could be new OEM partners. It will be very, very interesting. But you need to know how to do this as a product manager, because the call is yours. Okay, let's move further. Product monetization. So for all the smart stuff you do, and for all the smart breakaway stuff that you have created and the team that you built, all of that, end of the day, if your product effort does not make money, then it could be do or die for the company. Sometimes, for example, if you know the kind of monies that go into large projects like the Boeing airplanes and so on, the 737s, if they fail after 20 years of research, and we're talking about a complete company going down the drain. So, in a small scaled down version, something similar happens if products are not taken care and don't start monetizing. So monetization has to be thought before and upfront. And many times I've seen product managers, there's a certain specific method to do this. You need to go back to market every now and then and get a revalidation of how much they're willing to pay. You need to also create the necessary justification for the pricing you need to charge. And your charge, how much you're going to charge actually may depend on various things, including the current state of the market. But it's not about covering your cost. It's about creating sustainable, incremental revenue streams and incomes so that you can make sure that the product is justifying itself for the kind of monies it will have spent in its creation. So pricing models, whether it's B2B or B2C, you could have different pricing models. If it is SaaS, there could be a whole lot of other things. If it is hardware, it could be different things. If it is custom built, in some components, you have custom built components, and then the rest of it is SaaS, and then putting it together. So, it's different, and you need to think through these situations beforehand, because then, you can't have a situation where you have existing customers who have actually paid more, and then you have new customers actually paying less for getting more of the product. So these kinds of things have to be thought through beforehand. So you need to understand how monetization works. And many times you could be new to the game and you may need help. You may need to talk to your existing corporate senior managers and so on. But every product has its own path and its own story to tell. All right. So, and here comes leadership, right? And what kind of buy-in do you already have with your management? And if it's a large corporation, sometimes you're working tandem with other products in other branches or other business units of the company. You need to make sure that the budgeting and the end-to-end solution, the allocation of costs, the allocation of margins, the allocation of sales and marketing folks, all of this has to be transparent, justifiable, and you need to show that it's actually making an impact, that's a positive impact on the company's bottom line. For this, you need to constantly engage with the CEO, the CXO, the CFO, And that conversation, the language, the value proposition, the key points you talk there is very different from what you'll be talking to the UI guy or the UX person, and very different from what you're talking to the salesperson. So the product management function overall is this incredible combination of things where you need to have discussion, conversation skills, understanding skills, capability to convert engineering inputs to market features, capability to convert market demand into engineering features, usability features, and then create the necessary Excel and the models to show how the finances actually are working and making sense to the company. You need to have the ability to go to a large OEM partner. Let's say your OEM partner could be SAP. You need to be able to show to SAP why this product makes a difference in their product line, or why your product is a good feature to have in their product. So these are, so you have to constantly go either wide as well as deep where required. You have to understand enough of the market spectrum, and then enough about your product in detail to be able to justify. And in some cases, uh, the boardrooms can become a very bloody fight, and you need to fight and win those battles. Nothing personal, but you still need to fight for your product like a mother would fight for her baby. I always say that. So that is some more of the stuff I want to share. And you have to understand that it's a very, very challenging function, and it has a lot of different capabilities built into it. And I've had the opportunity of doing this many times. It's very exciting. It'll try, if you do product management for 10 years, it'll transform you as a person. It'll make your personality different. It'll make you adaptable to different markets, different products. But you should be open and ready to learn. You should be more agile than the product itself. So I'll wind up here because this can go on for much longer. And I just want to thank you for being here. Do follow me because I will continue creating a series of courses as well as tutorials like this on different aspects of product management, product selling, especially if they're tech and B2B. That's exactly what I've done for the last 20 plus years. I'll be happy to share my learnings. All the best. Follow this channel for more. And if there are any questions or specific modules you'd like me to explain, come back and put some notes for me. I'll be happy to cover it. I'll also be conducting webinars. I look forward to being, of help to you. If you're in a product startup stage, if you're looking to build your career in the product management and marketing, this is the place to be. All the best and keep smiling. Take care. Good day.